Hola y bienvenidos a este video donde vamos a describir a las personas. Hello and welcome to this video lesson where we're going to be describing people. Now this is specifically a revision lesson to revise facial descriptions, physical descriptions and personality descriptions, so hopefully you've already learned those things before. If not, maybe go and check out the videos on the piece that you're missing on my channel before coming back to this one, where we're going to tie all of those descriptions together in one lesson. Los retos de esta clase son repasar cómo describir el pelo y los ojos, repasar cómo describir las apariencias físicas, repasar cómo describir las personalidades, repasar los verbos ser y tener, y por último practicar la traducción. Antes de todo, before we get started with the revision, I'd like us to talk about possession in Spanish. I'm going to teach you the structure that we need to use to talk about other people's friends, other people's family members, because that's going to help us not only to describe ourselves and describe immediate family members, but to describe sort of friends of friends or friends of family members, which will make our speaking and writing even more interesting and even more varied. So in English, we're used to seeing apostrophe S to show possession, like Pedro, his parents. If we want to describe his parents, we need to say Pedro's parents. Apostrophe S shows that those parents belong to Pedro. In Spanish, the apostrophe S, it just doesn't exist. So we need to say the parents of Pedro. So it's a bit more long-winded, but this is the structure we need to use. Los padres de Pedro. Another example, to say my cousin's friends. In Spanish, the friends of my cousin. Now let's say that they're male friends and it's a male cousin. In Spanish this would be los amigos de mi primo. We're now going to do a bit of practice so that you can get used to using this structure. So in a moment I'd like you to translate Julio's sisters, my mother's friend, female friend, and Valentina's brother. Okay, so when you're ready, just pause the video, use the structure that we've gone through. So Pedro's parents, the parents of Pedro, then put it into Spanish, and you're going to do that for these three. Write them down if you can, if not, just say them out loud. And when you've done them, just push play and we'll go through the answers. Okay, so hopefully you've had a moment to do that. Julio's sisters, las hermanas de Julio. Número dos, my mother's friend. So first we know it's a female friend, so we want to say the female friend, la amiga of my mother, de, and then we need this possessive adjective, mi madre. La amiga de mi madre, the female friend of my mother. And then finally, número tres, Valentina's brother, el hermano de Valentina. Okay, and that brings us on to some revision now. So first of all, we need to remember the verb tener, the verb to have in its 6 forms, in order to talk about everyone we know, what their hair and eye color is, what their hairstyle is. So I have, tengo. You have, tienes. He, she, or it has, tiene. We have, tenemos. You plural have, or y'all have, tenéis. And they have, tienen. And then hopefully we can remember the sort of sentence structure and how it's different. So in English we say I have blue eyes, but because in Spanish the adjective has to come after the noun, we have to say I have the eyes blue. So we say tengo los ojos, the eyes, followed by color adjective. And hopefully we can remember that these adjectives, they also have s or es on the end, because they need to become plural to represent the fact that los ojos is a plural noun, because we have 2 eyes. So un ojo is 1 eye, but los ojos are plural. And then we can say y, el pelo, and the hair, followed by another color adjective in the singular, because hair is a singular noun. Y, and then another descriptive word to say whether it's short, long, curly, straight, wavy. Por ejemplo, for example, tengo los ojos azules y el pelo rubio y rizado. I have blue eyes and blonde curly hair. Okay, if we wanted to say my brother has, then we need to use the he, she, it form of tener. Mi hermano tiene los ojos azules y el pelo rubio y corto. My brother has blue eyes and blonde short hair. If we're talking about a group of friends and we've all got the same hair color or the same eye color, we can use tenemos, we have. We could even say mis amigos y yo, my friends and I, mis amigos y yo tenemos los ojos marrones. So my friends and I have brown eyes. If we're talking about various family members or various friends, for example, my parents, we need to use the they have form of tener. Mis padres tienen los ojos verdes. My parents have green eyes. We're going to practice this a bit more in just a second. Okay, so the main two forms of tener that we're going to focus on today are the third person one. So the third person singular, which is the he, she, it form, and the third person plural, which is the they form. The reason being that we know the tengo form, we know how to describe our own hair and eyes, and these two forms are going to help us to describe other people, either a single person or multiple people. So we use these, then los ojos followed by color, y el pelo followed by color. So if we have this wonderful stick man that I've drawn here, let's say this is our friend, mi amigo. If we're going to describe a friend, just one friend, have a quick think about which form of the verb we're going to use. It's just one person. Mi amigo. Okay, so it's going to be the he, she, it form. It's going to be tiene. Mi amigo tiene los ojos azules y el pelo rubio. So my friend has blue eyes and blonde hair. Okay, another example. Now instead of one person, we've got a group of people. These are mis amigos, my friends. And I've underscored there, underlined the OS to remind us that it's plural. It's a group of people, there's more than one. So is it going to be he, she, it has, or they have? Okay, because it's more than one person, we need to use this form. Mis amigos tienen, so we have an N on the end this time. Mis amigos tienen el pelo negro y los ojos azules, verdes y marrones. So my friends have black hair and blue, green and brown eyes. Okay, so we've already ticked off a few different learning objectives. We've revised how to describe hair and eyes, or facial descriptions, and we've had a look at the verb tener in its 6 forms with a special focus on he, she, it form and the they form. The next step is to revise describing other physical characteristics. So when we're talking about being tall, short, fat, thin, we use a different verb. We don't say I have tall, we say I am, the same as in English. And in Spanish there are 2 verbs to be, but the one that we use with physical characteristics is the verb ser. And that's the one that in the I form is soy, I am. So soy, I am, you are, eres, como eres, what do you like? He, she, it is, es. We are, somos. You plural are, or y'all are, sois. And they are, son. Okay, so we use this to describe physical characteristics. We can also use some quantifier words like un poco, a little bit, bastante, quite, realmente, really, muy, very, and super, super. So I think we use that in English as well. I'm super tall, he's super short. Then we can use an adjective like bajo or baja to say short, alto or alta to say tall, gordo or gorda to say fat, delgado or delgada to say slim or skinny, and mediano, mediana to say average, particularly average height. And then we can add in a bit more detail and say y feo or fea, ugly, guapo or guapa, good looking, joven, young, that one doesn't change for masculine and feminine, viejo, old or vieja, and musculoso, musculosa, muscular. For example, soy super alto y guapo. I'm super tall and good looking. Or mis amigos y yo somos realmente bajos y musculosos. My friends and I are really short and muscular. Or mis padres son un poco gordos y viejos. My parents are a little bit fat and old. Okay, so we can use different versions, different forms of the verb ser to describe different people, like we did with tener, and then we can use these different options together with a nice quantifying word to be a bit more descriptive and add a bit more detail. We're going to practice this in a moment. Okay, so here we've got all of the different options. This time I've taken the English away because we should have seen these before and we've just had a chance to kind of refresh our memory. And what I want you to do to practice this is to translate each of these short phrases. So the first one is I am quite tall. So let's do that one together. I am quite tall. Soy, I am, bastante, quite, alto or alta, tall. Okay, so that's that one done. The next one is I am really good looking. So just pause the video, translate it, and then push play to go through. Okay, let's go through. Número dos, I am really good looking. Soy realmente guapo o guapa. Número tres, again, pause the video if you're ready. Okay, let's go through. Número tres, I am a little bit fat. Soy un poco gordo o gorda. Número cuatro, my dad is average height. So we need to remember some of our family member vocabulary here. When you're ready, pause the video and then push play to go through. My dad is average height. Mi padre, my dad, es mediano. Okay, in the masculine form because it's mi padre. Número cinco, my mum is quite skinny. Okay, pause the video. Let's go through. Número cinco, my mum is quite skinny. Mi madre es bastante delgada, with the A ending because it's mi madre, feminine. Número seis, my sister is really young. Pause the video. Let's go through. My sister is really young. Mi hermana es realmente joven. Número siete, my male friend is super muscly or super muscular. Let's go through. Mi amigo, with an O ending, es super musculoso, with an O ending. Número ocho, my female friend is quite fat. Pause the video. And let's go through. So this time, mi amiga, with an A ending, es bastante gorda, with an A ending. Y por último, last of all, número nueve, my teacher, my male teacher, is short. So no quantifier for this one. When you're ready, pause the video. Okay. Mi profesor es bajo, with an O ending. Okay, so that's given us a chance to see how we can use this structure to give really nice detailed answers with a nice quantifying word about different family members or different people that we know, friends, teachers as well. And that completes our revision of other physical characteristics, as well as the verb tener, and some practice of translation skills. So let's tick that one off. And our next step is to revise describing people's personalities. So for personality, we're going to use the exact same structure that we just used with physical characteristics, and we're going to use the same verb ser, to be, which is soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. We're going to use the same quantifying words, un poco, bastante, realmente, muy, and super. But now we're going to use different adjectives. Alegre, which means happy, creativo, creativa, creative, simpático, simpática, nice, sincero o sincera, sincere, honesto o honesta, honest, inteligente, generoso, generosa, tímido o tímida, and then some negative ones, aburrido, aburrida, perezoso, perezosa, torpe, tonto o tonta, arrogante y por último, antipático o antipática. So these are all of the different words we might use to describe someone. We've got some positive ones, some negative ones, some that you could use some positively and some negatively, it depends. And we're going to practice these in a moment as we did with the physical characteristics. Okay, so here we've got everything we need to do the next translations. I've put alegre in green, like I did with some of the words on the last slide, and that's because it ends in an E, which means you don't need to change it for masculine or feminine like you do with the ones that end in O, where it changes to an A. So words like alegre, arrogante, inteligente, torpe, those ones don't change. But we've only got alegre here. The other ones you do need to pick an O or an A ending for. Here are the translations that I'd like you to change into Spanish. There are 9 of them, and this time we're just going to do them all in one go. So when you're ready, pause the video, work through, write them down if you can, and then push play and I'll go through the answers. Okay, let's go through. Número 1. I am really generous in the female form. Soy realmente generosa with an A on the end. Número 2. I am very lazy in the masculine. Soy muy perezoso with an O. Número 3. I am quite nice. Soy bastante simpática with an A because it's in the feminine form as if a woman were speaking. Número 4. My uncle is super shy. Mi tío es super tímido. 5. My auntie is a little bit boring. Mi tía es un poco aburrida with an A ending. 6. My male friend is really honest. Mi amigo es realmente honesto. 7. My female friend is very sincere. Mi amiga es muy sincera. So amiga with an A, sincera with an A. 8. My teacher is quite happy. Mi profesora with an A on the end because it's a female teacher. Mi profesora es bastante alegre. So alegre doesn't need to change for masculine feminine. Y por último, last of all, número 9. My granddad is quite silly. Mi abuelo es bastante tonto. Now we're going to take a look at how we can make our sentences and our writing and speaking about people's descriptions even better, even more varied, even more detailed. To do that, we're going to be using ser, so we're still going to be using the other kind of chunks of vocab that we've been using, so soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son. And we're still going to use the same adjectives, the same quantifiers, but before we use the verb ser, we're going to add in another little word or a short expression, which is an expression of frequency. It's going to tell us how often someone is a certain way or we are a certain way. For example, nunca, never, rara vez, rarely, a veces, sometimes, a menudo, often, and siempre, always. Because it might be that we want to describe a member of our family or a friend who isn't always arrogant, but sometimes they're arrogant. Or we might say, I am never shy with my friends, but I am always shy with people I don't know. So we can say something like, siempre soy alegre. I am always happy. So in English we'd say that I am first, then the always. In Spanish, we'd say always I am happy. Siempre soy alegre. Or we could say, a veces mi amigo es simpático. Sometimes my friend is nice. Or rara vez somos honestos. We're really honest. We could say nunca. Let's see. Mi madre nunca es generosa. My mother is never generous. Or we could say, mis abuelos siempre son generosos. My grandparents are always generous. And for that we need to add an S to the adjective, generosos. Rara vez soy aburrido. I am rarely boring. A menudo soy perezoso. So I am often lazy. We could also say nunca soy tonto. I'm never silly, I'm never stupid. And we can still use the other words as well. Un poco, bastante, realmente, muy, super, to add even more detail. Like siempre soy super alegre. I'm always really happy. Or a menudo eres aburrido. A menudo eres muy aburrido. So you're often very boring. A menudo eres muy aburrido o aburrida. A veces somos realmente perezosos. Sometimes we are really lazy. Okay, so you can use these 4 chunks of vocab, chunks of language, to give really rich and descriptive answers, because you're not saying that someone is boring, you're saying they're really boring or quite boring, and you're not saying they're like that all the time. You might say that they're like that always, never, rarely, sometimes, or often. So this is really kind of higher level stuff and really quite simple to put together. You just need to be careful with the word order, because in English we tend to start off with the verb, I am, followed by the expression of frequency, I am rarely or I am always, whereas in Spanish those 2 bits kind of swap around. And that brings us to the end of the lesson. Just to recap, we've revised how to describe hair and eyes, we've revised how to describe physical appearance, we've revised how to describe personalities, we've revised the verbs ser and tener, we've practiced our translation skills, and we also did an extra thing because we learned about showing possession, so we'll give that one a tick as well. And that's the end of the lesson. Muchísimas gracias por ver. I hope it's been useful. Thank you for watching. Some next steps you might want to take are to write out a paragraph describing your own appearance and personality and describing 2 other people. So you could pick a friend, a grandparent, a parent, auntie, uncle, whoever you like. It's just nice to practice using the I form and using the he, she, it form. And if you want, you could describe 2 people together and use the they form. So like, my grandparents are such and such. And then once you've done that, learn your paragraph off by heart, because that paragraph will contain lots of really useful language that you can then kind of chop and change in the future to talk about different things, because those expressions of frequency are really useful. Because now you might say, my dad is always generous, but soon you might want to say, I always play football on a Saturday, or I always do my homework, or I always like watching TV when I get home from school. So you can chop and change a lot of this stuff in the future, but right now you need to be able to remember it, because to be successful at learning a language, you need to remember lots and lots of words, and that paragraph will contain lots and lots of really useful words and structures as well. Muchísimas gracias por ver y espero que te vaya muy bien con el español.